takes to do that, and all the different things that us as creators are going through as we're using these new tools to do a lot of the things that we all love, but in a new way. And so with that, last week we had the privilege to talk to Tang Poco and about creators actually in the metaverse and creating these communities. And this week we are going to be talking about protecting our intellectual property because, as you guys know, we're writing a script and we've got our own soundtrack and producing great content that, again, we not only want to stream now on YouTube and all these different platforms, but also want to actually take to TV. We do want to be on TV, and we will be on TV because I'm claiming it right now, and y'all know how we do. Yes, clap it up, clap it up. So with that, one of the things we've especially been talking about, especially I know Kush is here who is leading our musical department, to actually, we've been talking about how we can protect all of this work that we are actually creating. So with that being said, we actually just watched a YouTube video from All Up in Your Business. She is an attorney on YouTube that makes awesome videos, and she made one video talking about NFTs and copyrights. And so she really broke down not how you should use one or the other, but most importantly, how you really need both of them. And I love that that's the way that she went about it, because I know all of our entire team, I had to look back at Kush because I knew he was going to be over there thumbs upping like, yes, that's what I'm saying, because that's exactly what we have all been talking about, right? Like, yes, we love Web3, we love these new tools, but we understand the amount of protection that we need. It's not based just on Web3 yet, right? And I think this attorney really gave a great way on why you should consider using both to protect yourself. So, with that being said, in order for you guys to get this at home on how you can use both, I wanted to come up with a really fun interactive game that would just kind of be the gist of this podcast, where I will have 10 different pieces of work, and we will be able to share what you think should be minted as an NFT and what you think should be registered as a copyright or trademark, or if you think it's not necessary for either or. And so this way that you guys can, again, start to see some examples and how you can use these different tools, and us kind of explain that throughout the way. So if you aren't familiar with a copyright, in a very short explanation, I would suggest going on YouTube University. In a very short explanation, it's if you have your own original piece of work, it's you have the right to make your own copy, right? And I think the lawyer also said that, which I was like, yes, I love when people break words down like that. Like, it's your work, so you have the right to copy it. And then a trademark is something like a logo, the images that you want to sell along with that would be the trademark, right? The mark that represents what you do. That was my own little flair for words. But again, that mark that represents what you do. And then an NFT is the actual work itself and the proof of purchase on that digital ledger. So, with that being said, we're going to get into it. Tiny and Kush, I know you guys are the last remaining here. We had a few people popping in and out throughout watching it. If you guys are watching on live, definitely feel free to drop your comments as well. But Kush and Tiny, if you want to join in on the game, feel free to drop it in the comments or unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to keep rolling too, because I got the answers and we're going to talk about it, like I said, no matter what. So, number one, if you have an original digital painting by a renowned artist. So say, for example, a renowned artist that is a digital painting would be something like, I call myself Mocasso, right? So if I had a Picasso, but it was like if it was the Picasso, but like a digital version of that. And so what do you guys think would be minted as the NFT or as the copyright? Feel free to take a stab at either. If you had the original copy, if you had the original digital copy of this painting, what do you think would be necessary? I gotta get better at asking my questions. Maybe I'll kick off the first answer to warm us up here. So say for example the NFT, and I see Latice just joined. Yeah, so this will be the warm up round. So welcome back, Latice. Wait, yeah, I think the question is reacts. Yes, okay, great. So here's the question. So if you had a digital copy of an original piece of work from a renowned artist, what would you use as the NFT, copyright, or trademark? Feel free to answer either. So for example, the NFT would be the original digital painting by the artist, right? So the NFT would be the actual work itself that you would be minting as the NFT. And it would be the NFT because that's how it would show that I purchased it, right? So you would mint it as the NFT, and then I'll be able to authenticate that I purchased it by buying the NFT. The copyright would be the traditional oil painting by the famous artist. So again, if I had the original version, that is what you would actually get copyright. And so that way, that is the original, which even gives you the right to make the digital copy as the NFT. But without the original copyright, you do not have the right to even make the NFT. And that's why, again, the lawyer was saying, if you do, like I said, say I was to mimic a Picasso and just start minting them as NFTs, I could get a cease and desist because I don't own the original copyright. And so that's what would be the copyright for that. And then the trademark, if I wanted to do, if there was a trademark, it would be like if there was a logo, right? So if Picasso had like a certain logo that he put, or maybe a signature, right? Maybe that signature kind of represents their trademark, because artists always put them on their paintings. So I'm not sure if that's something that artists do, but that can be something that's similar, right? So okay, you guys said that makes sense, right? So okay, so you get it. So again, I'll put out different pieces of work, and then we'll just share what would be the NFT, the copyright, and the trademark. And again, I know it's kind of complicated, so what I can do is kind of just give the examples and then roll through them like I just did. Or I'll pause and see if anybody wants to take a stab at guessing what it is before I do give the answer, to kind of just move it along as well. So let's get into it. Number one, for real. If you had an unreleased demo track from a musician, what do you guys think would be the NFT, the copyright, or the trademark? I'll give you a second if you want to jump in. Okay, perfect. Yep, we can hear you, Kush.
So if you had a unreleased song, it belongs to you, or who does it belong to?
It would be from a popular musician, so it's not from you.
Well, I have no say over it. It's not from me.
Okay. And
If it's
so,
not something I created, I don't have any say over it.
right. And so what do you think would be the NFT, the copyright, or the trademark for it? If it was just okay, so you're saying you don't have any right for it, so that's right. So basically,
So none of that I wouldn't be able to do any of that. I
right.
didn't have any rights.
Exactly, you wouldn't. That's exactly correct. And so as the artist who created that original work, say if they wanted to release that unreleased demo, then what do you think? How would they be able to use it as a NFT, copyright, or trademark?
They'd have to go through. So there's two sides. There's the Web 2 side, so that's going through the copyright and trademarking and like that, and then they can do the NFT. They're kind of like two separate things.
Exactly. Perfect. And you said that perfectly. You guys heard how he said you have to go through the copyright first, and then you can make the NFT, right? Because again, that copyright gives you the right and the licensing to also do that. And when you go through that, it also puts you in a position to be able to see what kind of licensing you want to even allow your buyers of the NFT to have as well, which I don't think a lot of people think about when they make NFTs, right? Because you just get these smart contracts. But just like, again, the attorney gave that example on, if you rent a movie from on demand, you can't now just go make copies of it. You have a certain restriction. You can't even really stream it. Like I was just saying, I can't really stream it here in the metaverse across different social medias because, again, they have different laws for those licensing. And so when it comes down to it, you have to think about that as well, because think about how you're giving your music away and the licensing. That are they owning that song, like where they can reuse the stems, or are they just using it like in traditional form? And so starting with that copyright and licensing, I think, would definitely help creators even before they get to that NFT portion as well. So definitely great job right there, Kush. And with that being said, I know you're big into music. So did you have any tips or tools that have really been helping you? I know that you have somebody that you've been like talking with that you kind of have as well with the copyright, but any tips that you want to share with how musicians can protect their intellectual property when it comes to their trademarking and copywriting or anything like that beforehand or in the mix of it?
I would just say include it as part of your process before you get to Web3, because Web3 is not regulated or anything like that. So you want to make sure you have some kind of protection around your work. So you got to use the portal law, which is only in Web2 right now, and so that's going to the Copyright Office. I think in the US is copyright.gov, and you copyright your stuff. You can trademark your work. And then you also got to register your work as well in your PRO as well. Another thing that you got to do. So all that comes to your intellectual property package. And then once you have all that straight, then you can determine what you want to do as on the Web3 side.
I love that. Great answer. Great tip. Include it in the process and protect yourself before you get there. Web3 is the wild, wild west. It is unregulated. And if you don't protect yourself, there is somebody out here who will take advantage of that. And so I definitely think that's great advice, for where we are right now, being in this in-between and this like Web 2.5, right? Why not experience that 2.0 version and the next one? So Tiny, looks like you had a question. Oh, no, you were trying to answer. Okay, cool. So moving right into the next one. Awesome. So this next one is going to be, if you have a manuscript from a best-selling author. Now, this would be if you were the writer. So if you are the writer and you have a manuscript, an unpublished manuscript for a new book, what do you think you should do for a NFT, copyright, and trademark? Does anybody want to take a stab at it?
Copyright. Oh, I was gonna say copyright the work, trademark, title.
Ooh.
And then make your NFT.
Okay. I like that. Okay, and I see Tiny said copyright first, then mint the NFTs. Tiny's the trademark the title. Kush, what were you gonna add as well?
I was say the same.
Same thing. Yep, that's right. And see, we getting it right. Copyright first, then make the copy as an NFT. And again, what that can look like is you would copyright the classic novel, right? What that would look like. And then I was actually just looking at that as well, because I know right now Leticia and I are writing the scripts. And before we can even like share them with anybody else, we have to go register our scripts, right? So that they're even protected before we even show them to anybody. So that's even a part of, protecting your work before you start sharing, so that people can't steal your ideas in the mix of that. And so, and then from there, like you said, once you do have that final work, copywriting that, and then publishing it as an NFT, and then yes, trademarking the title. Y'all hit it on the head. I'm loving it. Y'all getting this, and I hope all of our viewers are as well, because again, it's really the same no matter what that piece of work is and how you can protect it. So let's get into something a little bit trickier, since y'all thinking y'all got it a little bit. What if you have a limited edition 3D digital sculpture created by a renowned artist. So it's not yours. This is just a 3D digital sculpture that was created by maybe Mocasso. You got a Mocasso custom Bugatti or something. I know we be customizing vehicles and stuff right now. Well, I can't say Bugatti because then that's copyright. Mogatti. Maybe that's still copyright infringement. But something original. Sorry, Kush, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna answer. It was did I say just the item figure value 3 like wearing a pair of shoes. I mean, you could maybe resell it as a secondary item, as a used item or something like that. I think what the contract says it's a I would imagine you could sell it for it, but that's pretty much it.
Right. Okay. See, I like that way that you're thinking, right? Like that resale, right? Where it's like, you got it. So at this point, it's just, you can resell it. That's right. Yep. And Tiny says, so you can't mint NFTs from it then, right? Okay, right. Exactly, Tiny. You can't remake NFTs. You're right about that. And copyright or trademark if you don't own it. Right. That doesn't apply to you. Exactly. And Letitia, you got to get permission. Exactly. So here is the kicker for it. So the way it would look like is the NFT would be the actual 3D object itself, right? That's the thing that you got, and that's your receipt and proof that you got that 3D object. And the copyright, there wouldn't really be one because it's a free-to-use software program for educational purposes, or when people use these different 3D softwares, they use it where, they're open sourced or they include the licensing, right? So you can't really copyright that because a lot of 3D designers didn't create those bases themselves, right? They're using base structures and then kind of recreating from there. And so you wouldn't really copyright that because you just use this free open source software. And then only trademark you would get again is if you had like a logo for maybe the designer itself, or it also suggested a mobile app icon representing like the well-known app if you like created it under your business that like made, like for example, like P2D Raw Network, right? So if we used our logo because we create custom items and it would be attached to that. But for the custom item itself, like you guys said, as the collector, you're really just focused on that NFT and the resale. So I think mentioning the resale was also really smart because that's really the only right that you have as the holder of that NFT of that 3D object. So y'all getting it. I'm liking that. Okay, I was like, that's getting me.
I have just a question on the trademark part. If someone made something that was like a 3D model, but it was like a unique something that they could trademark, that's still possible, right?
Yes, it is, and that's actually
copyright ownership over it.
Exact. That is a really good point too, because actually, Anthony Thomas, if you guys are familiar with him in the space, he is one of those people that is like really big, and it really comes down to the NFT that you get, and again with how much licensing that you have, where he will only get NFTs that he can trademark, right? Like an NFT, like for example, one simple example that I was like using that he gave is he had an NFT that looked like a picture of popcorn smiling, with his ambition of that being like the logo on theater popcorn, right? So it's like connected to his NFT so that he can trademark it. So that's exactly right, where it's like you would have just like that logo that you would be able to trademark, but it would have to be again in the licensing that you can use that NFT to do so, or like put your logo on that object as well on the contrary. And so sometimes stuff like that again isn't outlined in the licensing initially, which is again I think where we're just saying, you have to include it in the process, because a lot of times it will come up. I know, for example, Tiny and I was in one NFT group where we were going to use the avatars because they're PFPs, and we were going to use their avatars as characters in a TV show that we were writing and connect it to the NFT project because they gave commercial rights and we could use the images and their likeness for those kind of things, and that was like made aware from the beginning. So some NFT projects do and some don't, if that kind of helps clarify it a little bit as well. And then again, on the contrary, if it's more like you have the object and you want to put your logo on it, again, that will have to be known that you could beforehand, or you would have to confirm with the creator afterwards if they don't make that clear. And so we've got 3 more here, and then we'll be wrapping this one up. So if you have a rare photograph of a historic event taken by a famous photojournalist, what do you guys think would be the NFT, copyright, or trademark? Now, you won't be able to do a lot of this, that is correct, because you would just be the holder of said piece of work. But what do you guys think would be the NFT, copyright, and trademark of a rare photograph of a historic event taken by a famous photojournalist? I see Tiny drop, same as the last one. You can just resell the NFT, but no rights to copy or trademark. That's right, Tiny. Yep, that is correct. So that means you would have the NFT, right? And that means the original picture. Let me see. Let me read that correct. Yes, the copyright would be a series of landscape photographs taken by an amateur photographer. So that's what will actually be copyrighted, right? The photographer going and copywriting their work and then making that copy as the NFT that you are then purchasing. And then the trademark would be that photography studio logo. Tiny says, so I can't buy the... I'm sorry, go ahead, Kush.
So I was going to ask, what's your question is if I came across like a antique photo or something like that, would I be able to, what I would be able to do with it, like make an NFT from it or something like that?
If it's not your photo, are you saying what my question is? Yeah, if you find a picture of like I don't know, there's like a famous picture like Martin Luther King.
Would I be able to make an NFT from it?
If there was an NFT from it, or like a picture of it, what would that breakdown look like?
If I found a photo, like say I went, because I'm just thinking in mind, like say I went to like some fleet, like a yard sale or something, I found like a old school photo. Mm-hmm. And it's like an antique or something. Mm-hmm. And I bought the antique. Now I'm the holder of this antique item. Mm-hmm. If it's considered an antique item and I'm the holder, then I think I would have all rights to that antique. Probably do, make an NFT from that.
Interesting.
Because sometimes the antiques come with the certificate, the provenance with it. But I don't know. That's a good question.
That's so true. They do come with certificates, right? And that's even what the lawyer mentioned in her video when she was saying, you get that proof of ownership when you get real things as well. If you buy a painting in a gallery, you're going to get the rights to that painting as well. And so, like you said, if it comes with that, then yes, you can. But I think if you just found it, then no, you wouldn't. But if you bought it rightfully and then you get that certification, then you would get that licensing and rights that would come with it. And then to also piggyback off that question, I see Tiny's question says, so I can't buy an NFT and then put it on merch or whatever you want. Right, Tiny, you would have to have licensing to be able to do so. Like commercial licensing would have to be included in that NFT that you buy. Not all of them are. So some of them are like CC0 was one of those, and I know you already know about the CC0 that was just like no rights reserved for artists. So it's like you put out a project and it's just open source. Anybody can use your base to recreate derivatives from there. And the idea of that was that it's supposed to make the original like more valuable as more people recreate your work. But you don't own any rights to your idea or the original. People have the right to continue to do whatever with it. And so what instead a lot of projects did was just they had their rights reserved and then did limited licensing, where again, like I said, I did my due diligence in my research when I found the women from Venus, and I seen that they included commercial rights, because I realized that there were projects that did include that. So you just had to make sure that you yourself, or like say for example, when I create like patterns, I put out there that you have the right to use this pattern for whatever you want to use it for. Right, because you can use it on merch, you can use it on your digital clothes. And the really cool thing is, even when we started with that, one thing I like about the NFTs is it holds a lot of rights and royalties in it, right? Because when we were doing the fractionalized patterns, it was using NFTs, it was able to automate those contracts for us. So I would mint an NFT as a pattern, and then when another designer would use that pattern and sell an NFT, I would get a fraction of that royalty just from them using my pattern and it being connected to that already. Where it's like, I didn't have to do too much to go and chase down my rights because somebody was using my pattern. It was just already included in that contract, which is again why I think NFTs and copyrights all connect, and that's why I love fashion, because it gives it that like simple example, but you can really connect again NFTs and copyrights with all of this stuff, just like, because like we said, our value comes down to the reselling of it. And that's why I think creators of these works also have to include the NFTs, just like they have to include protecting. But if you want the right to be able to resell and get your royalties for forever, that's then where NFTs come in, right? So it's like that's where we get those two things that go hand in hand. And y'all know I'm not no copyright lawyer, so this is all do your own research. We all learning together, especially like I said, the Mo Life Universe team. This has been what we have been at for the last few weeks, and this is not the last time we're going to talk about this. We are really going to get into this next month as well. On the 14th, and let me get my dates right, because I'm so excited about our podcast for next month. On the 16th, we'll actually be having writers that are on strike now. Shout out to Latiz, who actually got a great speaker that will be leading our panel, and we'll be talking about the writer's strike and how writers are having issues with protecting their rights, and again what that looks like. And then the following bi-weekly meeting, which would be on the 30th, we would then have musicians come in and talk about again protecting their work and how they're using this space to create more music as well. We're still lining up all of the panelists, but we are definitely going to continue to talk about how we're creating work in these digital spaces and protecting that as well. So with that being said, I have just two more and then we'll wrap this up, because I also think everybody has also shared a few things along this game, which I'm really excited about. And so for this second to last one, if you create a unique virtual game experience, if you are the creator of a unique game experience, what do you think you should NFT, copyright, and trademark? Anybody want to take a stab at it? I know Tiny probably over there typing.
The name of the trademark, the name of the copyright, trademark the characters, and the names of the characters, names of the name of the trademark, the name of the video game, copyright all of that as well.
Okay.
If there's a script, the storyline, probably copyright that as well.
Yes, and you know what else that you can copyright? You can copyright the user manual. Yes, so that way it can be widely used on electronic devices. So you can also copyright your user manual. I mean, think about like how special some of these processes are too, right? Where it's like, ooh, like this is how you play the game, and this is what that looks like, and the process of our game. You can copyright that, so nobody can go and take how to play your game and copy that as well. I see Tiny also said NFT the character, copyright the game, characters and story, and trademark the game and logo. And I see Letice is in agreements with Kush as well. Yes, yes, yes. You guys are definitely getting that. For the NFT, you can also NFT the game experience. As you guys know, a lot of people do use the characters as the NFTs, where you actually get the character as the NFT, and then that is your character in the game. And then also, if you guys have seen, Haikun does a really great job at that as well. Yeah, Tiny, so I was just thinking of Haikun. Yeah, Haikun does a really great job at that as well, where when you get the NFT, not only does it include the character and like the outfit that your character gets to have, but it also includes like different gadgets that you get to use, which are also not only NFTs, but can also be yeah, those will also be the NFTs, but can also be things that you can also copyright or trademark if they have like what does it say? Exclusive design. Yeah, distinctive design. If you have distinctive designs, right, that you created, you can trademark that as well. And again, these are those things that you wouldn't want anybody else copying, because you're like, man, this just makes ours so cool and different. It's our process, it's ours, and we don't want anybody else to do. You can trademark your logo, trademark consumer popular distinctive designs for consumers gadgets, and then of course, like I said, copyright the user manual, which I think are just a few that we also hadn't thought of in addition to that, which is important because we also create a game with our show, right? And I don't know about y'all, but I didn't think about copyrighting the user manual. But it makes sense because I know ever since I kind of put up my directions and how to play and like having that on the wall, I have started to see that in a lot of other spaces. So on the last one, if you had a limited edition clip from an award-winning movie. Now, I know that you guys cannot do the copyright NFT or the trademark, but what do you think would be the NFT, the copyright, or the trademark? Not that you would have to do it, but if you were the holder of a limited edition clip from an award-winning movie, what do you think would be the NFT, copyright, and trademark?
How did they come to get the clip?
Maybe you bought it as an NFT on OpenSea, so you just bought the NFT itself because it is NFT.
I wouldn't. Well, I think it would. So you're saying it's the NFTs coming from the original owner of the copyright and trademark, then
exactly.
And so purchase it.
Perfect. You better preach over there, Kush. Exactly. That original creator would have then did what? What would they have copyrighted?
They would have copyrighted the image.
Okay, right. The film, the clip itself, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And if they were to trademark something, what do you think they would trademark?
Title of the movie or the clip that they made.
Yep, exactly. It also says like a recognizable intro or animation could also be something that you trademark. Like if you see like a production company that has like the same beginning at the beginning of each of their productions, that's also something you could trademark as well with that. And then the NFT, of course, would be your digital copy. Okay. And the audio. Yes, get into it. Okay, and you see, and that's getting the gist of it. And so do you guys feel like watching that video and kind of playing this game just re-solidified a lot of the different ways that you can use these different things? Or do you guys feel like you already had a good understanding and then this just kind of, again, reaffirmed that you're on the right path? I see Tiny's getting... Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting there.
Perfect. Yeah, because you definitely seem pretty familiar with the ways to protect it. And again, it's not overly complicated, right? I think when people hear copyright and trademark and NFTs, it all sounds a lot scarier than it really is, right? Like you said, you just go, to the website and upload your work, and that's how you just are able to put out there that this is your work and get the stamp that that's when you did it, and that's your proof, so that if you have to take somebody to work court, I think one of the things that the lawyer said was really great when she said, when you make the work, you have the right to make the copy already, but getting the copyright registered is what gives you legal rights to go and protect it more, right? And again, I think people just need to understand that you do have to take that step when you are putting it out there like that. I'm glad to see Latice said she's also feeling like she's on the right path. I'm definitely feeling the same. I know before this, I hadn't really done a lot of work into copyright and logos and trademarks and stuff, because I just, I have been so focused on NFTs. So getting into this production and really seeing how, again, to do this in the better way, and just talking with our peers about how we want to do things, I feel like I was on the right path as well, understanding like Web3 isn't all the way there just for us to say, oh, minting it as an NFT is sufficient and that's all you need. And I'm glad that we are all on that same page, where we still want to be protected and use these new tools and show others how you can do the same. And I do believe that NFTs will be able to continue to catch up, because everything will be tokenized, and an NFT is just the tokenized digital version of whatever is in the physical, or can be, okay? So I do think NFTs and all of the things that we do in this old way will be, revamped into this new system eventually, and we're gonna be right there along the way, showing you guys exactly how we're creating along with these tools as they develop. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Before I wrap this up, was there any other ways or anything else anybody wanted to share about how they protect their intellectual property right now, or any other tips that they'd like to share for anybody watching?
I just wanted to add, there's a gentleman by the name of Hakeem Draper. He's got a platform out there, it's Secure, and you can go there and do basically copyrighting trademark on chain as we speak.
Ooh, that's dope. And would you say it was called?
Sound Secure. I'll send you a link.
Definitely do. Definitely drop that link, because those are those things we want to try, right? Like we said, we do want to try those people that are trying to do it, because those are going to be those leaders that are going to come. I mean, think about right now, the copyright cartel is those people that are, fighting right now, and that Web3 is trying to take down, and open source and AI needs things to be open source. If you have the right to copy, AI has issues with that. A lot of new technology does. So again, understanding our rights and what to leverage and what to allow to be open, because there is growth in things being open, so that people can use what you have to create from there as well, and empowering creators with open source tools. I know I'm a creator that benefits greatly from open source tools. So it's definitely just about understanding as a creator how you can leverage them as well, while also protecting yourself. So on that note, make sure you guys stay tuned, because we've definitely got a lot more in store, and we see you next month. Peace.